Hey guys, hope you guys are having a good week. But real quick, just wanted to say that you don't have to adhere to all of these questions or agree with anything in these videos for that matter. These are just a guide to help spur on discussion and encourage transparency and vulnerability. Open Table's purpose is to be an avenue for those things and for your opinions to be shared in a safe place that stays here, and also for you to find someone you think can disciple you in your walk with Jesus. So before we get going, go ahead and ask each other this question. All right, so last week we talked a little bit about grace and how much it doesn't make sense, and the teardown process. That this week we're talking about the build-up process that follows the teardown, and it's painful, but it's necessary. If any of you have ever built something with Lego pieces or blocks only to have a sibling knock it down, you kind of have an idea of what I'm talking about. And you work so hard and put so much time into building a structure only to have a foot come crashing right through it. It's annoying, isn't it? And a lot of times, this is how God shakes things up in our lives. And if you were here for service in the past week, then you know that that's what's happened to lots of people, including myself, in their lives and recent past. And so this is a process in the Christian world called sanctification. Now, what is that? Sanctification is the act or process of acquiring sanctity, of being made or becoming holy. To sanctify is to literally set apart for particular use in a special purpose or work, and to make holy or sacred. Now, Philippians 2:12 through the first part of 16 says, "Therefore, my beloved, as you have always obeyed, so now, not only as in my presence, but much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. For it is God who works in you, both to will and for his good work and pleasure. Do all things without grumbling or disputing, that you may be blameless and innocent, children of God, without blemish, in the midst of a crooked and twisted generation, among whom you shine as lights in the world, holding fast to the word of life." Now, this means that we're supposed to work out our salvation with God, to be blameless, not to complain, and to be sober-minded. That you can't even be enough to merit God's favor on your own. Now, here in a second, we'll see that the Bible actually commands us to work it out with other people too. But first, let's go ahead and check out this first set of questions. Grace is something that requires help from God because it's so hard to accept. Inevitably, we try getting our own salvation on our own terms, but Ephesians 2, the first part of 5 through 10 says this: "By grace you have been saved, and raised us up with him and seated with him in the heavenly places in Christ Jesus, so that in the coming ages he might show the immeasurable riches of his grace and kindness toward us in Christ Jesus. For by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not your own doing. It is the gift of God, not a result of by works, so that no one can boast. For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them." Now, there are a ton of things in that passage, but here's what we're going to take away for right now. We're going to focus on verse 8. It says, "For by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not your own doing." Now, I don't know about you, but I often fall into this trap that God will love me more if I do more, if I'm kinder, if I give more, if I swear less, the list goes on. But grace doesn't work like that. God's grace, His favor, covers us even while we're still sinning and doing wrong against Him. Now, if someone does wrong against us, we're not so quick to listen to their side, are we? They promise change, but keep behaving in a way that is still hurting us. We have a hard time accepting any promise that comes out of their mouth. Why is that? It's because we can't trust in someone that has caused us to doubt them. Now, let's take a minute to talk about that. Living in a close community can be messy, but it's actually necessary and commanded. In fact, grace can have opportunities to flourish in communities because everyone in it is just as broken and messed up as the next person or you. If you have a really good friend or a best friend, then you know this is true. You do something wrong against them or they against you, and there's a period of awkwardness where no one is really talking about it. If you're really lucky, you can push past that right out the gate and get through it lickety-split. But most of the time, that's not the case. In moments like these, which happen a lot, grace needs to be present no matter how hard it is to show and receive. A good community full of grace is hard to cultivate. Nevertheless, we are commanded to have it. Now, Galatians chapter 6, verses 1 through 3, it says, "Brothers, if anyone is caught in any transgression, you who are spiritual should restore him in a spirit of gentleness. Or keep watch on yourself, lest you too be tempted. Bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. For if anyone thinks he is something when he is nothing, he deceives himself." So basically, that's saying it's better to have help from a good community. And notice it says, restore him in a spirit of gentleness. Not in a way that shoves it in their face and not a way that says, look at me, I'm right. When we get out grace to people in our communities, we have to be more deliberate and careful. Now, here's your last set of questions. Hey, before you go, throw away your trash. Don't be that guy. Nobody likes that guy. Bye.